At 3 a.m., Dr. Sandra Whitfield jolted awake in her Chicago home, heart racing. The 68-year-old retired cardiologist had just realized something terrifying about the milk she'd been drinking for decades. After reviewing patient files from her 40-year practice, a pattern emerged that made her stomach drop. The same milk type found in 78% of senior households was linked to stroke cases she'd treated. "How did I miss this?" she whispered, staring at her research notes. Sandra had unknowingly been consuming liquid danger every morning with her coffee. What she discovered next will change how you think about your morning routine forever. But first, are you drinking this milk right now? Because what happens in the next 8 hours might shock you. The milk sitting in your refrigerator right now might be sabotaging your brain health. I'm talking about reduced fat milk. The 1% and 2% varieties that 73% of seniors choose, thinking they're making the healthier choice. Here's the shocking truth. When dairy companies remove fat, they don't just take out calories. They strip away crucial omega-3 fatty acids that protect your blood vessels and replace natural fats with inflammatory additives. Dr. Sandra discovered that patients drinking reduced fat milk showed 40% higher inflammation markers, the same markers linked to stroke risk. The processing destroys beneficial compounds while concentrating problematic proteins that trigger arterial stiffness in adults over 60. Your body processes these modified proteins differently as you age, creating microscopic damage to vessel walls. The cruel irony. We've been told for years that low fat means heart healthy. But for seniors, removing natural fats from milk creates a perfect storm for cardiovascular problems. The missing fats would normally help your body absorb vitamin D and K2, both critical for preventing arterial calcification. Are you drinking this right now? Pause this video and check your fridge. Look at that milk carton. If it says 1%, 2% or fat-free, you're consuming what Sandra calls liquid inflammation. Don't forget to hit that like button if this is eye-opening and subscribe, because what I'm about to reveal next will completely change your grocery shopping forever. The alternatives might surprise you. But first, you need to understand exactly what's happening inside your blood vessels while you sleep. The science behind the shock. Let me break down exactly what happens inside your blood vessels when you drink reduced fat milk, and why it's especially dangerous for seniors. Dr. Sandra's research revealed a process so alarming it kept her awake for weeks. When you're over 60, your blood vessels naturally lose elasticity. Think of them like garden hoses that have been in the sun too long. They become stiffer and less flexible. Now, reduced fat milk contains concentrated casein proteins that have been altered during processing. These modified proteins trigger something called inflammatory cascades in your bloodstream. Here's where it gets scary. Within 2 to 4 hours of drinking reduced fat milk, your body releases inflammatory compounds called cytokines. For younger people, this might not be a big deal. But for seniors, these cytokines attach to already stiffened blood vessel walls, creating microscopic tears and rough patches. The overnight process is what shocked Sandra most. While you sleep, your blood pressure naturally drops, and your body should be repairing daily damage. But those inflammatory cytokines keep working, turning your rest time into a repair nightmare. Instead of healing, your blood vessels are under constant attack for 6 to 8 hours straight. The processed milk proteins also interfere with nitric oxide production. That's the chemical that keeps your blood vessels relaxed and flexible. Without adequate nitric oxide, your vessels constrict, forcing your heart to work harder, even during sleep. This is why many seniors experience what doctors call silent hypertension, high blood pressure that develops gradually without obvious symptoms. Sandra discovered that seniors drinking reduced fat milk showed elevated C-reactive protein levels, a key marker of inflammation that peaked between 3 to 5 a.m. This timing isn't coincidental. Your body's natural anti-inflammatory processes are weakest in the early morning hours, making you most vulnerable to milk-induced damage. The missing natural fats would normally help regulate this inflammatory response. But when manufacturers strip away these protective fats, they're removing your body's natural defense system. It's like taking the fire department away from a burning building. What's even more disturbing is how this affects medication absorption. Many seniors take blood pressure or cholesterol medications. The inflammation from reduced fat milk can interfere with how these medications work, making them less effective when you need them most. But the next part is what really stunned me, and it's something that could save your life. The warning signs are so subtle that 89% of seniors completely miss them, including Sandra herself. Have you been experiencing any unexplained fatigue, especially in the morning? What about slight dizziness when you stand up? Comment below, because these could be early signs your blood vessels are crying for help. The warning signs. The warning signs are so subtle they hide in plain sight. Dr. Sandra almost became another statistic because she dismissed what her body was desperately trying to tell her. Let me share her story and the symptoms that could save your life. For months, Sandra noticed she felt sluggish every morning despite getting 8 hours of sleep. She blamed it on aging. "I'm 68, of course I'm tired," she told herself. But this wasn't normal aging fatigue. It was her blood vessels struggling to deliver oxygen efficiently after overnight inflammation from her daily reduced fat milk routine. The first real warning came during her weekly grocery shopping. Sandra found herself getting slightly breathless walking up the store's entrance ramp, something that never bothered her before. She rationalized it. "I'm out of shape." But her cardiovascular system was actually working overtime to compensate for increasingly stiff blood vessels. Then came the memory lapses. Sandra would walk into a room and forget why she went there. She'd misplace her reading glasses 3 times a day. As a doctor, she feared dementia, but this was actually microcognitive impairment. Her brain wasn't getting optimal blood flow due to vessel inflammation. The reduced oxygen and nutrients were affecting her mental sharpness. The most dangerous sign was one Sandra completely ignored: intermittent dizziness when standing up quickly. This orthostatic hypotension happens when inflamed blood vessels can't adjust blood pressure fast enough. For seniors, these dizzy spells can lead to fatal falls. Sandra brushed it off as getting old, not realizing her morning milk was compromising her body's ability to regulate blood pressure. Sleep patterns revealed another clue. Sandra started waking up between 3 to 4 o'clock a.m. with a racing heart, then couldn't fall back asleep. She assumed it was stress from retirement adjustments. In reality, peak inflammation from milk proteins was triggering her sympathetic nervous system during the body's most vulnerable hours. Her hands and feet became noticeably colder, even in warm weather. This wasn't poor circulation from age. It was reduced nitric oxide production caused by milk-induced inflammation, making her blood vessels less able to dilate and deliver warmth to extremities. The warning sign that finally scared Sandra was finding small bruises on her arms and legs that she couldn't remember getting. Chronic inflammation was making her blood vessels more fragile and prone to micro-tears. What she thought was clumsiness was actually her cardiovascular system breaking down. Morning headaches became routine. Sandra attributed them to her new reading glasses prescription, but they were actually mild hypertension headaches. Her blood pressure spiking overnight as inflamed vessels struggled to maintain normal flow. The most heartbreaking symptom was one Sandra kept private. She lost interest in activities she once loved. Gardening felt exhausting. Cooking became a chore. Even phone calls with grandchildren felt draining. This wasn't depression. It was her brain and body operating on reduced oxygen and nutrient delivery due to compromised blood flow. Sandra's breaking point came when she experienced what she called word-finding difficulty. During conversations, she'd pause mid-sentence, knowing exactly what she wanted to say, but unable to access the word. For a doctor who'd given thousands of presentations, this was terrifying. The inflammation was affecting the precise brain regions responsible for language processing. The scariest part? All these symptoms developed so gradually over 18 months that Sandra adapted to feeling worse, thinking it was normal aging. She'd unconsciously started moving slower, resting more, and avoiding activities that made her feel breathless or dizzy. Have you noticed any of these warning signs? Even one or two should grab your attention. Tell us below. Are you experiencing morning fatigue that doesn't improve with rest? Unexplained breathlessness during normal activities? Memory lapses that worry you? Dizziness when standing? Cold hands and feet? Morning headaches? Don't ignore what your body is telling you. Sandra's story could be yours, but unlike her, you now know what to look for and what might be causing it. The safer alternatives. After discovering the dangers lurking in her refrigerator, Dr. Sandra spent months researching safer alternatives that wouldn't just avoid harm, but actually protect senior brains. What she found transformed her health and could do the same for you. The first alternative shocked Sandra's medical colleagues: full-fat organic milk from grass-fed cows. But doctor, isn't full-fat milk bad for seniors? Her friends asked. Here's the truth. The natural fats in unprocessed milk contain omega-3 fatty acids and conjugated linoleic acid that actually reduce inflammation. For seniors over 60, these fats help maintain blood vessel flexibility and support neurotransmitter production. The key is organic and grass-fed. Conventional full-fat milk still contains hormones and antibiotics that can trigger inflammation. Sandra noticed changes within 2 weeks of switching. Her morning brain fog lifted, and those 3 a.m. wake-ups stopped. The natural vitamin K2 in grass-fed milk helped prevent arterial calcification, something especially crucial for seniors whose calcium absorption changes with age. The saturated fats, once demonized, actually support hormone production that declines after 60. The second alternative was goat milk, nature's closest match to human breast milk composition. Goat milk contains smaller fat globules and different proteins than cow milk, making it infinitely easier for senior digestive systems to process. Sandra discovered that goat milk naturally contains higher levels of medium-chain fatty acids, which cross the blood-brain barrier more easily and provide direct fuel for brain cells. The protein structure in goat milk doesn't trigger the same inflammatory response as processed cow milk. For seniors dealing with lactose sensitivity, which affects 75% of adults over 65, goat milk contains less lactose and different enzymes that aid digestion. Sandra's patients who switched reported better sleep, improved mental clarity, and reduced joint stiffness within a month. Goat milk also contains naturally higher levels of potassium and magnesium, minerals that become increasingly important for heart health and blood pressure regulation as we age. The bioavailability of these nutrients in goat milk is superior to synthetic supplements, meaning your body actually uses them more effectively. But the third option surprised even me as a doctor, and it's probably sitting in your kitchen right now, unused. Bone broth, made from grass-fed beef or free-range chicken bones, isn't just trendy. It's a senior superfood that puts both cow and goat milk to shame for brain protection. Here's what makes bone broth revolutionary for seniors. It contains glycine, an amino acid that directly supports neurotransmitter function and helps repair damaged blood vessels. The collagen in bone broth provides building blocks for maintaining blood vessel elasticity, something that declines rapidly after 60. Unlike milk proteins that can trigger inflammation, collagen proteins actually reduce inflammatory markers. Sandra discovered that seniors drinking homemade bone broth showed improved cognitive test scores within 60 days. The glycosaminoglycans in bone broth support the blood-brain barrier, your brain's protective shield that weakens with age and inflammation. This means better protection against toxins and more efficient nutrient delivery to brain cells. The mineral profile of bone broth is perfectly designed for senior needs: bioavailable calcium that actually strengthens bones instead of calcifying arteries, magnesium for heart rhythm regulation, and phosphorus for cellular energy production. Unlike milk, which can interfere with iron absorption, bone broth enhances mineral uptake. What surprised Sandra most was bone broth's effect on sleep quality. The glycine acts as a natural sleep aid, helping seniors achieve deeper, more restorative sleep without medication side effects. Better sleep means better brain detoxification, crucial for preventing cognitive decline. For seniors worried about preparation time, Sandra developed a simple weekly routine. One batch in a slow cooker provides 7 days of brain-protective nutrition. Add herbs like turmeric and ginger for additional anti-inflammatory benefits that specifically target age-related brain changes. Why do these alternatives work better for seniors? After 60, your digestive system produces fewer enzymes, your blood vessels need more support, and your brain requires specific nutrients for optimal function. Processed milk fights against these age-related changes, while these alternatives work with your body's evolving needs. The third option surprised even me as a doctor, because the research on bone broth for senior brain health is so compelling, yet so overlooked. But there's something else you need to know: how Sandra's complete transformation unfolded, and the mistakes she made along the way that you can avoid. Sandra's 30-day transformation was nothing short of remarkable. Within the first week of eliminating reduced fat milk, her 3 a.m. wake-up stopped completely. By day 10, the morning brain fog that had plagued her for months lifted entirely. Her energy levels soared, and for the first time in years, she felt truly rested upon waking. The most dramatic change came on day 18. Sandra was gardening, an activity she'd avoided for months due to breathlessness, when she realized she'd been working for 2 hours without fatigue. Her stamina had returned. The dizzy spells when standing up, gone. By day 22, her blood pressure readings, which had been creeping upward, dropped to healthy levels she hadn't seen in 3 years. By day 30, Sandra's memory was sharper than it had been in her 50s. She stopped misplacing items and could follow complex conversations without losing track. Her cold hands and feet warmed up as circulation improved. Even her grandchildren commented that Grandma Sandra seemed happier and more energetic. Real changes you can expect. Week 1, better sleep quality and reduced morning headaches. Week 2, improved mental clarity and less afternoon fatigue. Week 3, better balance and coordination. Week 4, enhanced memory and increased physical stamina. What changes have you made after watching this? Have you checked your milk type? Started any alternatives? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience could inspire another senior to take action. Hit that subscribe button because your transformation journey is just beginning. Here's Sandra's simple 3-step daily routine that transformed her health, and it takes less than 5 minutes to implement. Step 1. Morning replacement ritual. Instead of reaching for reduced fat milk with your coffee, start with 8 ounces of warm bone broth or switch to full-fat organic milk. Sandra drinks her bone broth at 7:00 a.m. sharp, calling it her brain insurance policy. The key is consistency. Same time every day helps your body establish new healthy patterns. Step 2. Afternoon anti-inflammatory boost. Between 2 to 3:00 p.m., when senior energy naturally dips, have 6 ounces of goat milk or another cup of bone broth. This prevents the afternoon crash and supports sustained brain function. Sandra adds a pinch of turmeric for extra anti-inflammatory power. Step 3. Evening vessel support. 2 hours before bed, enjoy your final serving. The glycine in bone broth promotes deeper sleep, while the minerals in grass-fed milk support overnight blood vessel repair. Shopping tips for seniors. Look for grass-fed and organic labels. They're worth the extra cost for your brain health. Buy bone broth ingredients in bulk to save money, or find pre-made versions in the refrigerated section. Avoid anything labeled low fat, reduced fat, or 1% and 2%. These are your brain's enemies. Store managers often discount grass-fed products near expiration, perfect for immediate use. Join store loyalty programs for senior discounts on organic dairy alternatives. If this helped you create your action plan, smash that like button and share with someone who needs this information.